I'm watching the NBC morning show here, and they're talking about the Charlottesville, where the young girl, her name was Heather Heyer, was a car backed up on her, and it was kind of odd if you want to go back and see the whole thing. Here's her picture. I don't think you can see it there, but anyway, they've kind of made a hero out of her. This is her mother up there, and I guess I could get up closer. I was going to make a video of something else, and I saw it. Um, they're talking about, well, the people who still, uh, like Robert E. Lee, and I do. I'll go ahead and tell you, I do. I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 1941 and brought to this country and beaten and everything in the book done to me. And I'm told there's civil rights. I've never had one. Me and my children have been slaughtered. And let me say this, my husband told me way back then, he said, "You're too naive. You're not streetwise." Well, man, did they show me. I became both. Maybe you ought to live the way they put me, and then you would find about the real world. When they talk about hate crimes, that's what's been done to me and my sons because of who we are. And my mother was an American. And I'm going to turn this around. Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, married to King Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. This whole thing has been a lie. And your media, hey, President Trump at least told the truth there. They lie. They're nothing but liars. They knew about this is controlled by the very people that kidnapped me, the Illuminati, and took my father down with character assassination and nothing but cold-blooded lies throughout history. They've all known about me. They've known about what I'm coming to here about to say again. My phone was disabled basically for the last number of months, and I just got it fixed. So I'm not going to say much more about that. I wouldn't want to be called names. Anybody could check out what I put up on YouTube and Facebook. And yes, it bothers the hell out of me that my father's name has been smeared and a lie. He's been married. He was always married to my mom. My God, the Illuminati, and that's the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, my own uncle George, the illegal six that they installed after they took my father down because he would not follow orders from the Illuminati, your global government. That, let me inject this right now. I guess I better turn it around here. Let me go back in here and try to bear with me here. Hope this takes. After my father was taken down in December 1936, he was married to my mom, and she was Queen of England. And Cosmos Lang was Archbishop of Canterbury. He married them, and then he helped take my father down. I don't know if he christened me, but when I was born in 1939, I was christened. When they kidnapped me, the two men that I remember that gave me to Lina Dempsey and her mother, Lavinia Dempsey, Route 4, Moulton, Alabama, was a pigsty horror house. There was a portrait of my father, and I've put all this up on YouTube and Facebook for years and years. And isn't it odd that you start telling the truth, and suddenly people that would swear tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, turn on you and try to kill you too, to shut you up. Suddenly, when the truth's about them, they don't want to hear it. Anyway, there was a portrait, a big one, brought. And it was the same photo, except my father was holding me at my christening. I assume just after my christening, in the gown. So I was christened in the church. And the second I was born, I'm Victoria II, heir to the British Crown, legal. I'm not going to go on, it takes up the tape I'm trying to do now, and I've put it up there before. My father never sold out his country. He never married Wallace Warfield Simpson. She married a double, and you better believe I don't like the Illuminati, which all this happened after my father was taken down. They disposed of my father and mother and installed the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. American Spy is Wallace Simpson. Who the heck the other that posed as the imposter? There was more than one that married Wallace and then went on to become the governor of the Bahamas and committed crimes down there. All this was done, and they stripped my father of everything, even his daughter, me. And my father and mother remained married, and they were still alive, as old as they were, in 1986, October the 20th, when I came to Roanoke. And I'm going to leave that there. So they've defamed my father, who was a great man, my mom, who was a school teacher from Madison, Wisconsin. And are you listening to all this crap on TV? They still, and Elizabeth does not speak out. She does not tell about it being a double. When they run my father and mother's names through the mud, well, they don't even mention my mom. When Meghan and Harry married. And by the way, they're illegal. That whole lineage back to George VI, Elizabeth, and Philip Mountbatten, and Charles, and William should be locked up. They all knew about this, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it doesn't make it okay that some of these people have made such an impact and pretend because they're good actors and they're spending my money in my countries, whether part of you know it or not. I'm British. Absolutely every fiber in me. Somebody put up, well, I know that you're British. No, what'd she say? I know that you're the real queen, but you'll never be our queen. Well, my message to you is I am the legitimate. I may never get to come home, and let me clue you, I'm not going to tell about some British that gave their life to come over and bring me home and my children and protect us. But I fully intend to come home if I can and do what I can. And I want that sorry bunch locked up. They're war criminals. Now, I want to go back to, and this is connected, and you can check it out on YouTube if anybody wants to go back and check it out, and Facebook. I started before I found out about my kidnapping, and when I did, I could remember. I had a lot of memories then, and by goodness, nobody wanted to hear about that, the Dempseys or any of the Elizabeth or any of them. She's had a chance to correct this all along, and she never did, especially when Meghan married Harry, and all this resurfaced, calling Wallace Simpson marrying King of England, which was a total friggin' lie. She could have corrected it then. Should have been a long time ago. She always knew about my kidnapping, all of it. By the way, Mary, Queen of Scots, became, I believe I'm correct on this, she was queen at age 6. It just happened that mine was the moment I breathed my first breath. Okay, I did a book before I found out about mind control. I'd worked for doctors. And about the Tesla files, that where you can cure an illness or create one. And man, I had some information in there that was pretty potent. And I had some names, and one of the doctors in it, he was murdered, and I know he was. Robichaud, Jonas Robichaud, The Power of Psychiatry, was about the last book, and he had 10 of my cases, although I had not met him, but he was my attorney, Eugene Kaiser, a former Fulton County District Attorney in Atlanta, was the one that kind of channeled, I guess, from him to me. Well, I don't guess, I know. And through, well, I'm going to leave that. I've already put all that up and try to get to what I wanted to say here. It makes me so upset. I got a letter The book never got published. In fact, they almost killed me. April Fool's Day of '80. And I tend to be afraid to even speak out because of the whole situation here. I really am. Bear with me. Gets too much. Wait a minute. The book I wrote, I've put up too many times. It was called MD, A License to Kill. A License to Kill came out about 3 years later. It was a 007 with Timothy Dalton. Okay, so this came out after my book. I was writing it and titled it and sent it off, and some Revell it went before their board, and I sent it to the Hearst Publishing. God knows I did not know the Hearst were part of my kidnapping, the Illuminati. I didn't know that part of anything. Anyway, Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, nearby by a program shooter. And, you know, they're having cancer research, and it's confusing at which side my husband was on. If he tried to help kill me or because he was the one that got the lab results where they tried to kill me. And he also took my apartment and everything I had, and I was almost killed. But there's more to him. I don't know, maybe there's been doubles used, and I don't doubt it might have happened just that way. Anyway, my life was hell. I never saw my kids, and you can't even tell it. Nobody wants to hear it. Anyway, he was the one that kind of led me into finding out some of it. I was told he worked for the CIA. But anyway, that you can cure an illness or create one, and that's also, I got into finding all that out, the Tesla files that were stolen. And I'm going to say something that you could find yourself. The Tesla files were stolen by President Trump's uncle. And go back and check it out. He helped steal it, and God knows I've had enough hell in my life. I don't need any more, but I'm in such a pickle anyway because of who I am and who did it to me. So anyway, I thought Trump was good, and I was told by someone who should know that he was, and he would help me. And then Sessions is from Alabama, and he's the U.S. Attorney General. He knows all about my kidnapping, about John Sparkman was a U.S. Senator. He has to know all this that helped him collect money. My hostage money, was more than just money over the, okay? It entailed other ways of giving things to the United States, as in NASA in Huntsville. And by the way, now they're saying, and you got the Vice President just came out and said that they're going to, they need a space, I'm talking about out there, new group that the United States has to have dominance. Well, bullcrap. You stole it, we did it. We paid for your NASA where you put me on a pigsty farm. And you know, I'm talking, and I'm afraid to right now. I just got my phone back. It's so much. The Kennedys were in on it. JFK actually was one that helped take me out of the UK. His dad was appointed by Roosevelt as U.S. ambassador. And watch the timing. 1936, my father was taken down with character assassination. He helped kidnap me in 1941. And then it's when the United States totally invaded the UK. And they positioned themselves in okay, you finish it. As the United States got bases all under Great Britain and made Great Britain fight against itself. Who do you think Honduras and all these, where the United States went in, and they forced the UK and the Brits to fight against their own interests? Well, they had me over here too, the real monarch, and Elizabeth and her father was turned on his own brother. He was installed by the Illuminati, the global government. So I'm going to stop there. Elizabeth represents the global government. In fact, when the Blacksburg shootings happened next door to me, that was mind control, and I've told it over and over. She passed through here. I'm living on the Appalachian Trails, trying to live a few miles out. I guess she couldn't stop to see me when she went to the parties up in Washington and New York, and she spoke before the UN. She's using my money. I'm in rags and starving and don't know where my children are, and Mark and Scott are heirs after me. So now then, the United Nations, if you watch, all this happened that allowed the global government to come to be after they took my father down and kidnapped me. So a timeline is 36 and my kidnapping in 41. Now, my father is a hero, and you've lied, the media, you're nothing but rotten, low-life scumbags. And if you don't like the truth, maybe one day I'll hear it before I die. I certainly hope so. Now I want to go back. Remember, this has been me starting out writing about mind control, curing illnesses, creating it. They can, you do it with a signal. You put a chip in your root canal, your heart bypass, etc. And then if somebody tries to tell it, well, of course, they're crazy, we'll lock her up. It's all true. And my husband, one thing he did with the Jerry Lewis telethon way back, 82, he made comments which I already knew, but he just reaffirmed it. They already have a cure. So all this money going into heart fund to cancer research and all this is full. But then your drug, your pharmaceutical, and your medical is all based on you being sick and finding a cure and the, updating all these instruments. Walk into your hospital or your doctor's office and see. Okay, now I'm going to quit on this. Part of the, and back to what I started filming because it really upsets the hell out of me. I'm right here near Charlottesville where they kill I started to say her name, but Althea, I'm going to leave the name there, okay? As in Althea Flint, okay? I've always said she was murdered. Also, I'm going to mention this woman's name, Althea, and she's involved in what happened to Anastasia up here in Charlottesville. She was murdered, and they took the farm in Scottsville, and they tried to get rid of the caretaker that was with them for 18 years, who gave me, I'm going to skip this, documents, okay, that nobody would print. Anyway, when I came here, this has to do with patterns, the mind control patterns where it was used, and it links it together, and it can be proven. Like Larry Flint was shot, George Wallace was shot, Lana Dempsey, the woman where they put me with her in Moulton, told me she was my mother. She killed her twins, Peggy and Carl. She was with George Wallace when he was shot. So, and George Wallace didn't like her. She volunteered and pushed herself in there. She was with Senator John Sparkman in getting all the money rolled in here. She's part of the Freemasons, and Matthew Dempsey was also a member of the Freemasons, which is Illuminati. The global government. And that's where they go. And when they just, the vice president just said the United States had to have the dominance. Oh, bull feathers, I paid for it. The Great Britain, if you're going to have dominance and global control, it belongs to us. Now, I hope I'm alive.